Hello, I'm Sam Love in North Carolina, and I'm going to be reading from my book published by Fly on the Wall Press, Awakening Musings on Planetary Survival, and it's very timely. A lot of the issues, environmental issues, seem to have disappeared as we're so concerned about COVID-19 and what's happening with the Black Lives Matter movement. But these issues aren't going to go away, and I hope to offer you some suggestions about how these poems might be used to educate people, build awareness about some of our climate issues, global warming, environmental issues. The title of the book, Awakening Musings on Planetary Survival, was inspired by a poem that a young 16-year-old woman in England, Nadia Ash, published in Planet in Peril, a wonderful anthology that Fly on the Wall Press did. And they had accepted one of my poems, which I'll read later, and that's how that's how I got to know them. And she said in her poem, Earth's Final Plea, what will it take for us to awaken, to lift our minds from the heavy haze of ignorance and cast aside the negligence that has consumed us for too long? And so based on that, I was inspired to call this book Awakening, and I'm going to read you the title poem. No one hears the solar rays as greenhouse gases trap heat to toast the planet, until the tears of Mother Earth pelt down as torrential rains, until glaciers crack under the Arctic's eternal summer, until sea-warmed hurricanes undercut oceanside foundations, until verdant forests crackle with drought-nourished fires, until habitats disappear and species cry out for a new home. May this dystopian symphony awaken us from our suicidal slumber. And so that's the title poem. The poem that was originally accepted for Planet in Peril, which is also in this book, Blueberry Morning, and that's morning, M-O-U-R-N-I-N-G. And it's one of the poems that deals with the question which I think teachers should ask their students about some object. Where do I come from? Blueberry morning. It's a January frost-free miracle in my North Carolina supermarket, where it's a 2-for-1 blueberry sale, so I add them to my shopping cart. Secure from the freaky outside cold, the Chilean bluettes look perfectly cozy in their crystal clear plastic containers. They look so comfy, I wonder if they still dream of summer in South America. As I eat my morning oatmeal, I ponder the adventure stories of this well-traveled fruit. Could it tell me about the toxic sprays that made it picture perfect? Was it picked by a shaker machine or by campesinos breaking their backs? How was its 4,136-mile plane trip from the Chilean farm to Florida? Did it enjoy its 869-mile truck trip up the interstate? How many miles per gallon does a Chilean blueberry get? Sometime this summer, local pick-your-own blueberries will ripen on nearby vines, and they can take a shortcut across the river to my morning bowl. Then breakfast will be more enjoyable when my mind doesn't have to digest so many perplexing questions. And I have a Twitter account at Sam Love Poet. And I've taken a number of these poems and made them into little videos with illustrations, which might make them appeal to some people that don't just like the words. So you can see all about the blueberries trip there. Now, there's a 3 here. Another major issue that this book has some poems about is plastics in the ocean. And that's been a concern of mine. And we're beginning to learn more and more about the effect of these plastics on biological systems. And I'd even done a children's book based on one of my poems called My Little Plastic Bag. Wonderfully illustrated book by Sam Duke. It's available in English and Spanish. It's probably my best, most popular poetry book. And it explains what happens to a plastic bag thrown out of a car window by a little girl. Now here's another one that looks at plastics. One word, plastics, as wood, metal, bone, and tusk became scarce. Humans couldn't resist a utopian future material, a chemical synthetic wonder that could realize a designer's wildest shapes. From steering wheels, hair ornaments, transparent boxes to colorful radios. This revolutionary material for a new age could mold inexpensive petrochemicals into bold, pearlized colors. Rose, teal green, sunrise yellow, lilac. The industry heralded better living through chemistry and sold plastics as an antidote to our ravaging of the natural world. Seduced by this modern marvel, throwaway plastic products exploded, littering Earth with bits now finding their way into our bloodstream. If aliens wanted to destroy rival humanoids, what better way than to dangle a synthetic material so enticing? So enticing, we could not resist the lure of a plastic-covered Earth. And if you read the statistics of what's happening in the oceans, you get a sense of the seriousness of this. Now, another plastic poem that may help you rethink how we look at all these plastic bags that are blowing around on the roads. Urban tumbleweeds, like a Western tumbleweed, a synthetic urban tumbleweed bounces across a highway, revealing orange splashes of sunlight shimmering through a plastic bag. In gyrations of wind-driven swirls, the bag flies across the road, catching on the curb where it deflates, and waits for the next rainstorm to wash it down the drain. The downpour floats it under the street until it surfaces in the river, where it will join other plastic detritus, destined to become the legacy of our so-called civilization. Okay, and now to deal with another issue that global warming is affecting our migration patterns, and we don't know the full extent of this yet, but it's starting to become clear to groups like the Audubon Society that it's affecting the birds. And I live near a major migration site for Tundra Swans, beautiful, large white birds that come down from the Arctic every winter. Elegant travelers. In winter, thousands of lily-white tundra swans dot the surface of Pungo Lake. From a distance, they look like scattered snow clusters on the water's surface. After their 4,000-mile flight, the Alaskan travelers enjoy North Carolina's milder climb. Soon, a warming spring will signal to the elegant swans a return flight to Alaska. They never studied aerodynamics, but they stretch their necks, fold back their lanky black legs, form a V formation, and let flapping wings reduce air resistance. Flying at 50 miles per hour, the flock of avian marvels travel hundreds of miles each day before returning to Alaska, where life partners will hatch offsprings and prepare chicks to migrate south. But soon, Pungo Lake will be barren as global warming moves their winter destination further north. So I see we're having some more people join us. If you want to put in the chat box that you're joining, or if you have any questions, which we could deal with later, we'll do that. Okay. Now, another issue that doesn't get as much attention as I think it should is the chemicals in our environment and how they're beginning to affect our bodies. So this issue is coming home to us. And I saw an article in the New York Times about endocrine disruptors are affecting male sperm, and that inspired this poem. Spermageddon. Unlike the microscope, tadpole-like human sperm now swim in circles instead of rushing upstream to impregnate their target. As viable sperm counts fall and more sperm swim erratically, healthy swimmers may soon become an endangered species. To fight this impending spermageddon, men should be marching on Washington to confront corporate lobbyists who say, "It's not us," says the pesticide industry. "It's not us," says the chemical industry. "It's not us," says the plastics industry. Collectively, they point to the real villain, the dreaded vegans, stuffing themselves with soy products that disrupt the endocrine system. And I had the pleasure of working on the first Earth Day national staff in 1970. And millions of people came out to celebrate the Earth and create pressure on politicians to begin to do something and turn it into a global phenomenon. But one of the things that I saw that's just disappeared is on the marches you would often see the ecology symbol. And it's like an O with a slash through it. And so I wrote a poem about why the peace symbol has survived and the ecology symbol hasn't. The ecology symbol. Once upon an Earth Day, millions marched to Ron Cobb's creation, melding the E for environment and the O for organism to create the ecology symbol. Such a simple graphic, just a circle and slash to symbolize care for the planet, respect for nature, and the nurturing of a legacy for generations unborn. I don't see the ecology symbol at today's climate marches, but its co-conspirator, the peace symbol, seems to be everywhere. At Walmart, you can buy it on underwear and t-shirts that glow in the dark. The vanishing ecology symbol must be too threatening to the dollar sign worshippers, with its pesky admonition to reduce consumption, reuse materials, and respect nature. It must be too threatening to the comfort of North Americans who consume 60% of the Earth's resources just to support our obese lifestyles. It must be too threatening to the 80 million babies birthed each year aspiring to an American lifestyle. Soon they will discover if everyone lives the American dream, we will need a planet 3 times the size of Mother Earth, and the last time I looked, she's not gaining weight. Okay. Another thing that's happening is there's certain cycles in nature. For example, cicadas, 8-year cycle, 10-year cycle, 12-year cycle, depending on the brood. And they're starting to disrupt those cycles. So not as predictable anymore. Nature's bacchanal. Toward evening, our ears are assaulted with a buzz so loud it echoes in our ears. The maddening sound heralds returning cicada broods from the subterranean lair, where they've spent years sipping tree root nectar. Some broods wait over a decade underground, just dreaming X-rated cicada dreams until their internal clock announces it's time to break free. Normally, the broods are predictable, but climate change is confusing their biological clock. So this year, they emerged early for a 10-week raucous mating party, which gives new meaning to a quickie. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is read a couple of new poems that I've done, and then we'll begin to wrap this up. I've been thinking a lot about human history, and so I did a little video that's on Twitter at Sam Love Poet, and I pretended I'm starting an Armageddon story time. This is a poem. It's a new way to look at history. Homo sapiens abridged history. Programmed into our DNA is a fetish to cleave the world around us. First rocks crudely smashed stone, flesh, and soil until flint's edge yielded sharper, easier cuts. Then a Neolithic pottery kiln birthed the Bronze Age by mixing rivulets of copper and tin alloys to forge harder implements of destruction. Implements that could split heads, fell trees, and forge plows to rip the earth. Early in the 20th century, we started cracking oil, natural gas, and coal, with hydrocarbons to create gasoline and plastics. As demand exploded, humans started ravaging land and sea to extract hydrocarbons that now smother the atmosphere. Then, in wartime, we split the atom, creating weapons so powerful our future now balances on a knife's edge. With no frontier too small, we started splitting genes to create DNA mixes, promising entirely new life forms. The name Homo sapiens means wise man in Latin, but with our history of wrecking the planet, we need a new name. How do you say stupid humans in Latin? And I actually have encouraged some feminist groups to try to come up with a new name that's more inclusive, it's not male-dominated, for a new era that we may be entering. And we'll see if that campaign catches on. Now, With COVID-19, it's been challenging to write any poetry about it, but I did focus on one aspect, the quarantine. Relish the quarantine. Celebrate how the four walls of a lockdown can't imprison your child's imagination. Take time to explore their fantasies of fairy tale adventures. Lego inventions are imaginary friends. Cherish these fleeting moments as a child transforms chairs and a blanket into a castle safe from a hostile world. Once freed from spoon-fed television, a child's world can escape class, caste, and privilege, so anyone can become a princess, a rock star, or a president. Nurture these escapes before the so-called real world eats away at fantasy's edge and reduces your child to trolls, imagining only day-to-day survival. And so I'm going to wrap this up with an optimistic poem from the book, Awakening. And we really need to support Isabel of Fly on the Wall Press, because I think what she's doing about tending to publish more idealistic poetry is truly remarkable. And so I really wish her well. So this is from the book Awakening. Each day, crisis, extinction, shortage, catastrophe. These words are so overwhelming, we throw up our hands and shout, what's the use? I'm only one of 7.6 billion, consuming the Earth's resources, polluting the environment, carbonizing the atmosphere. Contributing to a habitable future requires that each day we undertake one rebellious act, like refusing a plastic item, planting a tree, walking or biking, conserving water, turning off a light, lowering the thermostat, supporting peace, or creating your own dissent. One little act each day times 7.6 billion hungry mouths could make big change. Become your own ad agency and dream what can be done to sow seeds of optimism, and one day our children will thank us. And so I really appreciate you watching this, and thanks again to Isabel with Fly on the Wall Press for hosting this. So thank you again, and I will end the live video now. Some questions.